Hello, and welcome to Things Are Getting Weird. This is your favorite spin-off show from your favorite podcast, Drinking the Kool-Aid, and we are your hosts, Cassidy
and Amanda.
And today we have an extra special episode planned for you. We are right here in Larchmont, California.
We
at
are.
the Cloud 10 Studios.
I know.
With the one, the only, Jami from Murderish.
Oh my gosh, ladies. It is so good to be here with you guys. I was really looking forward to this.
We as
too.
well, yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
And we walked into the studio. It's so cute in here.
Yeah.
Very cute.
Very
Yeah.
vibey.
Very
Yeah,
vibey.
they got, like, when the studio was first built, it was great, but now it's like great. Like they made some upgrades with the lighting and the plants and just like, they just kind of like put the cherry on top.
Yeah.
It's so cute in here.
It's really cute. It's super comfortable. And we are looking forward to it because we recorded with Jami before and we had such a good time. We ended up accidentally talking for way longer than we were supposed to.
Yeah, that's when you know, like, okay, these are my girls.
Yeah. So we were like, okay, obviously now we have to get together in person and do it
Totally.
again. And today we're going to be talking about something that Amanda and I don't really know anything about.
Not even a little bit.
And Jami seems to be near expert level.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited.
She's ready.
So Jami, if you want to introduce our topic for today, what are
Yes.
things getting weird with?
Okay, so we are getting weird with the Karen Reed case.
Okay.
Officer John O'Keefe is the victim in this case. This is a murder case, unfortunately. And Karen Reed was the alleged perpetrator.
Okay.
And I would say this has been, and I'm not the only one, but this has been like my obsession for, I would say, the last year and a half, maybe 2 years. And it's the kind of case, and I think after you like hear all the details, it really should be studied in law schools all around the world.
Wow.
From here forward, because it is that wild.
So I remember hearing about it like when the trial was ending. And at that point I was like, oh, it's just, people are in too deep. They know too much. I don't know the lore. So that's why I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
thank God someone can like actually
Yeah.
wrap up this for me. Because all I've seen is like random TikToks of someone being like, and then this person, and then there's a dog. And I was like, I don't know who these characters are.
the dog.
There's a dog.
There is
There's
a
a
dog
lot going on.
No.
Chloe the dog. I was waiting for her to testify. She never did.
She knows the
but,
dog's name.
She knows a
even.
lot.
Wow.
The things that Chloe could tell us.
I mean, I was going to
Exactly.
say, if I was on that jury and I saw that dog get up there, I'd be like, whatever you say, bitch.
Oh, dogs never lie.
Yeah.
Like dogs are always honest, unlike human
100%.
beings.
Yeah, all dogs go to heaven. There's
This
a
is
reason.
true.
They
right?
do.
Yeah.
See, you get it.
No,
Of
you
course.
do. Dogs are perfect.
I agree.
Well, this case is, oh my gosh. And it is, I get frustrated like with my husband, but like we all get frustrated with husbands, right? Like, what do they know? What do they know about true crime? But my husband and I watched the documentary together. There is a documentary or two about the Karen Reed case. We watched one of them. He got like an episode and a half in and then he thought he had some theories. And I was like, babe, this is not the kind of case. And it's like, I always want to be open. I'm like, I will be so open to your opinion, like 100%. If you not only like watch the full documentary, but this is a kind of case where you kind of have to watch like a bunch of YouTube videos. You have to watch the trial itself. You
Yeah.
have to like really dive in because it's not what it seems. If you just hear like what was presented initially, you're like, oh, she did it. Like this is closed case.
okay.
Obvious. But then that's where the interesting part comes in. It's like, oh, wait, but what about this? What about this over here? And then, at least for me, spoiler alert, it became so obvious that she did not do it. And not only did she not do it, it was probably members of law enforcement who did do it. And they're not only covering their ass, they're framing her, an innocent woman, for this
boy.
murder. It's wild.
Okay. Yeah. So whenever we do true crime or we watch any documentaries, I always come in. This is always come in like as they are innocent until I'm proven beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
Right. I always try to imagine like if I was on the jury, like how hard it would. The burden is on the prosecution to prove it. Right. So, okay, I'm interested because like me and Amanda will argue about documentaries because whenever there's like a tilt to it, she's like, well, yeah, obviously that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's my biggest issue is I'm watching it and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what happened. This is
Yeah.
and Cassie's like, hold on, finish the thing. And I'm like, "Ugh, fine. Like I already know she did it, like whatever. And then I finish it and then I'm like, okay, well,
She's like, well, now I don't know.
and then I'm like, now I don't know now I have no idea what I think at all. And then she presents me with some like intriguing thoughts. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well that makes sense, I guess. So I'm very like whatever the documentary is swaying to try to get
You're
me to
in.
believe.
You're all in.
I believe it.
You're like my best friend, Jessie. She's like, we just watched the Jussie Smollett documentary. I don't know if you
yeah.
guys are familiar with that. That one's kind of wild too. And she started to cross her. I was like, Jessie, don't do it. You're following. You're following for like whoever put this documentary together has some sort of like bias, and you're following for it. She's like, well, I know, but that's I mean, I'm like, no,
Like, I'm just watching it. What am I supposed to do?
yeah, like hello, that's how they're feeding it to me.
I was gonna say that's literally how I used to be. Like I would be totally swayed by whatever I watch, whatever, and then like I remember once I watched a documentary, and then I watched the documentary from the other point of view, and then I was like, oh no. Turns out I have to like critically think. Come on, that's not what I want to do.
So hard. Sometimes I get lazy. I'm like, I don't want to use my brain. Just feed it to me. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
I need somebody smart to just go, listen, this is what happened. I got you. Like, you don't need those pesky details. Like, I got you.
That's why we have you.
And that's why we have
well, this is these are big shoes to fill, but I am happy to like kind of walk you guys through it. And I would love for you guys to ask all your questions. Cassidy, you were like, listen, we're going to have a lot of dumb questions. There is no dumb question. This case is wild. And I will try to do my best to kind of present it a little bit like as it happened and then when things started to shift. So I don't know if you want me to like dive in, but stop me whenever you want to, because there's a lot.
Let's dive.
Let's dive. So in January of 2022 in Canton, Massachusetts, near Boston, freezing cold night. In fact, that night, everybody knew that this like crazy storm was coming in, like kind of like a record storm, and everybody was kind of like preparing for it. But there was a gentleman named Officer John O'Keefe, and he's a Boston cop. He's dating a woman named Karen Reed. She is a well-educated career woman. She's a professor of like, I think, finance at a big university, something like that. And they'd been dating for a while. And as couples do, there was maybe like a breakup, or like arguing, maybe there was some insecurity, maybe of like infidelity, things like that. But for the most part, like they seem like a pretty typical couple. They had connected like years ago. And then through COVID, I think he slid into her DMs on Facebook or something like that. And then they reconnected. So they were dating at this point. They got invited out by a bunch of other members of law enforcement and like their wives, right? And this other group of like law enforcement members, these are like high-ranking individuals. This is like Brian Albert. He's like this is where my memory's going to fade, but very high-ranking career.
We're talking like captains and detectives, like not beat cops.
Not big, exactly, like big dogs. Him and his wife, and then the other key figure is Jen McCabe and her husband, Matt McCabe. Matt McCabe is not in law enforcement, but Jen McCabe's sister is married to Brian Albert.
Okay.
So So
these people are like pretty interwoven.
They're tight.
Okay.
Very interwoven. And then there's a guy named Brian Higgins. He's not related by blood, but he's like an ATF officer. So he's also like high-ranking member of law enforcement. He's really good buddies with Brian Albert and the whole crew. So I refer to them lovingly as the McAlberts. And you will see that a lot on TikTok. Like you've got the McCabes and the Alberts. Higgins, sorry you didn't get your name in there, but like he's also part of this. But the McAlberts were very tight, and they were all going to go out drinking at this local bar called the Waterfall, another one called CF McCarthy's. Somehow somebody calls like Officer John O'Keefe and says, hey, you should meet us out. So he does. Him and Karen had been arguing like the day before and maybe even that morning, like through text. But at some point they made up, and John's like, you should go out with us. So Karen and John do end up going out to this bar. I want to say it's like, let's call it 10 o'clock at night. They all meet up. They're at this bar drinking. Then they go to the next bar. Around midnight, and everything's fine at the bar. And in fact, like during trial, because there is an eventual trial, actually 2 of them.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
2 trials. It would come out like all this video footage that like John and Karen had clearly made up because they were very loving on this video. He's got his arm around her. He kisses her forehead at one point, like they're, had made up. So around midnight, everybody gets invited back to Brian Albert's house at 34 Fairview, not far from these bars.
Okay.
Hey, it's somebody's birthday, where everybody's kind of over there already. Everybody just come to my house for like a nightcap. And John and Karen get invited to this too. But what's important to understand is, while you said earlier, the McAlberts are very tight, like very tight. John O'Keefe is friends with them, but he's not in the inner circle.
Got it.
And
okay.
if John O'Keefe is not in the inner circle, like Karen Reed certainly is not. Like she is pretty much an outsider.
Yeah, she's like a total +1.
Total +1 to John, not close to any of these people, but certainly like knows them, right? So they all get invited back to Brian's. Everybody heads over there. John O'Keefe and Karen Reed get in her black SUV. She's driving. They head over. They pull in And Karen would say later, like, she didn't really know if they were like actually invited. Like, this is somebody's house. So she would, as she tells it, she says, well, I told John to go inside 34 Fairview where the after party was happening. This is like midnight, 12:30 in the morning, and go to like check the temperature. You know what I mean? Like, see, are we really still in, are we really like invited to this house party? It's kind of intimate.
Yeah.
Like,
And she was staying in the car.
and she stayed in the car.
Okay.
Which to me goes to, she really didn't know these people, and it's somebody's house, right? So she's just, for some reason, she's not feeling like she can just barge in.
Yeah.
She wanted to make sure they were actually invited.
As someone who is engaged to an extrovert and I am not so much, all
That's
of the
it.
time I have to be like, okay, were we actually invited to this? Or was it a group of people being like, oh yeah, just come over? Because I'm
Yes.
like, because at this point now I'm like 3 people removed, you know,
Yeah.
you feel awkward.
At somebody's
Yeah.
house. I can
Yeah.
understand if it was another bar. I would just go in, and whether we were invited or not, and
Yeah.
just figure it out when we get there. But like, if it's somebody's house, it's 12:30 in the morning. Like, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
just obviously she didn't feel comfortable.
And they'd already been arguing. She's probably like, let's just go home.
That too, maybe too. She was
Yeah.
probably exhausted. You know, and everybody was drinking too. That's very important to say. Everybody was drinking. And so they pull up, and according to Karen, John goes in the house. But 5, 10, 15 minutes later, he still not back out. He doesn't come back out. She's getting more pissed off by the second. To me, I read it as she's already insecure in the relationship. She thinks that he goes into this house party where she doesn't really feel welcome or doesn't think she's invited, doesn't feel comfortable. And he just leaves. He just ghosts her, like
Yeah.
leaves her in the fucking car. And she's just like, you know, what's going on?
Is she not calling, texting?
She was.
Okay.
I think she texted him, called him. There were a bunch of like evidence that came in at trial, like text messages, calls.
Because my initial thought, and we had talked about this when we were talking about the TikTok lady with the antipasto salad, how like, wouldn't you just call or text your friend and be like, hey, I'm here, I'm out front, can you like come outside and get me?
Yeah.
Instead of going in. Like, that's what I would do. I'd be like, no, make sure he called. I'm not going in there unless they answer the text or call.
Well,
Yes.
but he knew these people. So like,
Yes, why didn't he just text them and be like, hey, I'm here, can you come out?
Because they're drunk.
Yeah, I guess.
You
Yeah.
always do have to remember drunk people just be doing stuff.
That's true.
This is true.
Yeah.
It was like a house party, like, you know, somebody's birthday. And so
Yeah.
like people, then maybe the music was on, maybe, you know,
And maybe he
knows?
was like, we can go in. Who cares? And she's
Yeah.
going, no, I'm not going in until you make sure we're actually invited. Or
That's
like,
fair.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she gets pissed off. She's just like, fuck you. I think she tries to text and or call him. He doesn't answer. She's just like, fuck this. So she leaves and she hightails it back to John O'Keefe's house where she's going to spend the night.
Oh, because she was driving. That's right. Okay.
She was driving, and she often would spend the night at John O'Keefe's house. Like, this is her boyfriend, you know. So she goes and spends the night there, but she's pissed. And it would come out at trial that she called him on the way home. It seemed like a billion times, but let's call it 8, 10, 12, whatever. And she's getting more and more angry with every voice message. She's like, you fucking asshole, you fucking pervert. She calls him a pervert, like
Yeah.
all these things. Well, fast forward, she spends the night at his house. I think she slept on the couch that night because almost like, this is me too. I'm fiery. Like, if my boyfriend ghosted me, I'm sleeping on the couch so I can catch his ass right when he walks in that door, girl.
1000%.
I'm like,
Absolutely.
where were you?
Yeah.
Why'd you leave me in the car? You know? So she sleeps on the couch, but sometime around 4, maybe 4:30 in the morning, she wakes up to realize he never came home. Now she's switches from being mad to like, now I'm worried.
Yeah.
And knowing that the record storm came in. So now her mind starts swirling, and she's like, did he slip on the ice somewhere drunk and this and that? Did he, I don't know, did he get hit by a snow plow? Like, she's saying crazy things. She gets on the phone. She calls Jen McCabe, who is part of the McAlberts. And it's important to remember Jen McCabe's sister lives in the house where this after party was going on. So Jen McCabe's got a strong connection like to these people and that house. Then Karen also then somebody calls Carrie Roberts. Carrie Roberts was also at this after party at 34 Fairview. And she's just panicking. And Karen's like, I don't know where he is. He didn't come home last night. So she calls them. She's like, I don't know if he got hit by a snowplow. And then allegedly she may have said something like, could I have hit him? Could I have clipped him? Like, what is going on? Where's John? He's not home.
Yeah.
So they all meet up. They get in the car together, the 3 women. Now it's like about 6 o'clock in the morning, and they decide they're going to go look for John. Like, where is John? And eventually, of course, they make their way back to 34 Fairview, which was the last place that, you know, Karen saw him. And Karen's in the back seat. And as soon as they pull up to 34 Fairview, Karen's like, there he is. There he is. That's him. He's in the yard. She sees a body lying motionless in the front yard of 34 Fairview, where that after party was.
Okay.
She jumps out of the car. She starts to try and resuscitate him. She's trying to warm him up with her body. She's observing like he has injuries all over his face. Like to her, she would say later, looks like he got his ass kicked, like he got into a fight.
Okay.
2 black eyes, cut on the nose, cut on either the upper eye, under eye, or both. And she noticed a little piece of glass in his nose. She said later that she actually picked it out, and then blood started to like come out of his nose. So she's like observing. And there is, eventually police are called, obviously, like what, John's unresponsive, basically. That is John O'Keefe. He's laying in the front yard of 34 Fairview, unconscious, maybe dead, maybe not. And Karen's panicking, and you can see her on the police footage, like, what's going on? Like, Jen, she's yelling at Jen McCabe, Jen, like she's a mess. Eventually, EMTs arrive, they take him to the hospital, and John O'Keefe later dies.
Okay, so he was still alive.
He was still alive, but
okay. Obviously sustaining it. Well, because I was going to say, because you said when she plucked the glass out of his nose that it bled, which if he was dead, it wouldn't have bled.
Maybe. I don't know. Because I don't know the sign. I don't know, like maybe if he was like freshly
Yeah, because that's one of the things, once your heart stops beating, it stops.
The blood doesn't pump.
Yeah, it doesn't pump, so it doesn't come out, especially if it's cold.
Okay, so that's a good, So, but he was alive, but like barely, unfortunately. Yeah. And eventually Karen has to be put in like a 5150 hold because she gets to the hospital and she's just wilding out. And
I do not blame her.
Yeah, absolutely. Like she's just like panicked, and just all the things, traumatized. So, obviously they need to investigate what the hell happened. There is a almost deceased man in the front yard of this law enforcement officer's house where this after party happened. Like, what happened here? Karen's saying that he went inside the house and never came out. The weird thing is that everybody inside the house, literally every single person, said he did not come inside this house.
What?
This is where the two stories divide.
I'm surprised. These are all law enforcement people. I'm surprised nobody had a Ring camera.
Girl, the Ring camera.
Okay. Is it? Okay.
It's so crazy. Yeah, where's the Ring footage? That's what I would like to know.
But there was a Ring camera.
Oh, there should have been. There were, and it's missing. There's Ring footage that's missing.
Okay.
So we're going to get into that.
Okay.
But yeah, so basically what happens is law enforcement needs to investigate this thing, right? So local cops come in, and there's a guy named Michael Proctor, and he's the lead investigator, and he's on the scene pretty quick with other members of law enforcement. And fairly quickly, they come to the conclusion that Karen Reed did this, that she was so angry with him. They had been arguing leading up to it, that she was still pissed off, and that when he got out of her car, she backed her car up in reverse, hit him, and he flew and landed in the yard, and she knew it, and then she just left him to die in the cold.
Okay.
That is what law enforcement, and they eventually arrest her. And members of the community, I think by and large, were like, oh, I guess this is like an open and shut case. And then, like she did it. Like he's got all these injuries. Like she was drunk. Maybe she was like an angry girlfriend, like that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would, if someone told me just that, I would be like, okay.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah. And especially because everybody else is saying he never walked into this house.
Right.
Like that would make the most sense.
It's like how.
Yeah.
Also, I feel I might have missed it, but when she called the wife, McCabe, Jen McCabe.
She's the sister-in-law of Brian Albert, who owns the house.
Okay, so she wasn't in the house. She wasn't at that party.
Yes, she was.
She was. Got it. Okay.
Absolutely was at that party. Yes. All the McAlberts were at the party. Jen McCabe and her husband, Brian Albert and his wife, which is Jen McCabe's sister. Brian Higgins was at the party. Karen Reed says that John O'Keefe went in, but all these people, which are mostly members of law enforcement, are saying, no, he never came in. Didn't come in the house. So she gets arrested, and I think that most of the townspeople are like, oh my God, she's just a crazy woman.
Yeah.
She got mad. She ran over him with her car, whatever. But then enter Turtle Boy. Have you guys heard the name Turtle Boy?
No.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, we don't know anything.
Turtle Boy.
Turtle Boy. So Turtle Boy, his real name is Aiden Kearney or Kearney. I don't know how to pronounce it. He is a now infamous, in the true crime world at least, investigative journalist, local in Canton. He is a big YouTuber. His platform has gotten even bigger because of this case. He starts digging into this. He gets the court records, because there was a grand jury, at some point that indicts Karen Reed for, several serious charges. He gets all the court records and he starts looking at some of the details in the investigation. And he's like, something stinks here. Like, this is not, I don't think this is as cut and dry as everybody's saying. He's like, number one, John O'Keefe, in addition to like all the injuries he had to his face that looked like at first glance like he got into a fight, right?
Yeah.
2 black eyes, cuts, whatever. But he also had these, I should show you a picture. You guys should maybe put it on your,
I'll look it up right now.
Look at, Google John O'Keefe arm dog bites. He has these injuries on his arm that like literally just all these like lacerations up like on the upper, mid, and lower portion of his arm.
And these pictures will be, whoa, okay, yeah.
Right? And I shouldn't have said what, but basically they, to me, like they looked like dog bites or injuries from a dog maybe.
Okay, yeah, I see like little teeth marks. Okay.
Yeah, so Aiden Carney's like, these injuries on his arm really don't match up with what law enforcement is saying. Like, how did her car cause that on his arm, right? This is weird.
Especially if, like, her car, there was no, like, the only thing I could think is if, like, the back window was busted out and it was glass or something everywhere.
It was not.
But if it's not, like, yeah, how would this even cause that? And it's snow on the ground and stuff.
Yes.
So it's not even like he landed in rocks or, debris.
Right. And to be fair, the major part of the storm hadn't hit yet. So while it was snowing at the time that he was rendered unconscious, it was like a dusting of snow. But later that night, like soon after, it would pile up and the whole big storm would come in. But yeah, it looked weird, right?
Yeah.
Now, my memory is fading quite a bit, but Aiden Carney, Turtle Boy, dug up some other things. I want to say that okay, so this is going to blow your mind. This is a fact that came out at trial. This might have been one of the things that Aiden Carney brought up too. And the townspeople started to shift and they're like, oh, this case isn't as cut and dry maybe as like,
I love that you're referring to them as the townspeople also. It's super funny. I'm just like imagining like a Frankenstein style village.
No, literally like if
like the peasants are out front gossiping.
Yeah, no, literally like I feel like I have to say townspeople because I've seen so much footage of these people and I know how they are about this case at this point. And they are so angry and hot and they've all gotten involved. So it's like the angry townspeople.
Yeah, you're like they are about to get their pitchforks.
I was going to say, I love how you said Frankenstein and I'm thinking Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, same.
Kill the Beast
yes,
at the end.
That's pretty much what it's become. Like, it's so crazy. So, and then I want to say, so there's another fact that came out at trial, which absolutely blew my mind. But there was a Google search by Jen McCabe at 2:27 in the morning. Okay, now 12:30ish, 12:45ish in the morning.
About to Google, I swear to God.
Jen McMastermind is what I call her now, just so you know. But at around 12:30, 12:45 in the morning is when John was rendered unconscious. Both sides of the defense and the prosecution agree. Okay. Like that is about the time.
That's the timeline,
right?
Okay,
2:27 in the morning on Jen McCabe's phone. There's a search that says Haas long to die in cold. Obviously, she meant to put a W, right? Not Haas. It's HOS, but the W is very close to the S on the keyboard.
And they were drinking.
They were drinking, yes.
You wouldn't believe the Google searches that I've woken up to. I'm like, what band was I trying to figure out last night?
Totally. Like, I take no responsibility for what's in there, like at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my gosh. They always Google something, man. They always do it.
It's like, it'll get you every time. So
yeah, that's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
So stupid. So Jen McCabe had Googled at 2:27 in the morning, Haas lung to die in cold. If you're saying he never came in the house, you're also saying you had no clue he was laying out in the yard for all these hours. You have no clue that when you rolled up on the scene with Karen Reed, you acted like this is the first time you saw him. Like you're saying you never saw him. Why were you Googling how long does it take somebody to die in the cold at 2:27 in the morning when John was literally outside dying in the cold at that time?
That's all I need to know. That's like literally it.
It's giving the Casey Anthony searches of chloroform, and she was like, "Oh, I actually was trying to look up chlorophyll or whatever."
Yeah, and you're like, "Girl, like sealed deal, right?"
Yeah.
But so Aiden Carney is the one who really started to get the tides to shift in Karen Reed's favor. Now, not everybody was on her side. There's still, even to this day, a lot of people are like, "Nah, she's guilty." But he really made this case go viral. Nobody would have given a shit about Karen Reed, unfortunately, but it just was a small case. Probably crazy girlfriend runs over her cop boyfriend and kills him. But Aiden Carney is really the one who kind of like rallied the troops and was like, something stinks here. So Aiden Carney started to look at the evidence and go, you know what? Not only do I not think that Karen Reed did this, I think that he did go inside that house at 34 Fairview. And I think members of law enforcement are responsible for those injuries on him and most likely caused his death, most likely, maybe allegedly dragged him outside of the house to cover their tracks, threw him out in the yard, and are framing an innocent woman for this murder.
Yeah.
And that is when the tide started to shift and people started to be like, well, you know what? And there's a lot of corruption. There's a history of corruption within Canton PD and Norfolk County. And like, this is where the townspeople like really have come together and been like, you know what? Not only are we pissed off about this Karen Reed case because something stinks, y'all have been acting a fool like for years. Like you guys are corrupt.
This is just a symptom of the rot that's been festering.
That's it. And it took the Karen Reed trial for them all to literally rise up and get really loud. And there are like TikToks, you know, you'll see them in like the city council meetings and yelling and screaming and just like seething with anger because they're so sick of like the corruption in that town. And they're like, not only do we think that members of law enforcement at that house probably killed John O'Keefe, covered it up and framed Karen Reed, but the officers investigating this are helping them because it's what do they call it? The thin blue line or the blue wall. Like they're all brothers in law enforcement. Like I'm going to do you a solid. You know, this was a high-ranking member of law enforcement that owned this house, 34 Fairview. Yeah. He's certainly not going to go down for this, right? That's kind of just like the gist of it. And so
I think that's just that's kind of what we've known forever, right? They just all are like, well, we're going to brush that one under the rug. Don't tell anybody that.
Do you a solid. Yeah.
And then you can do me a solid when I eventually commit my own crimes.
Yeah, like we all have each other's backs. We'll say that he never came in this house. You know, we'll do whatever we got to do. And then law enforcement who's investigating are like, listen, we got Karen Reed.
And they had hours alone in that house to come up with any story they wanted. And they all do work in law enforcement, so they know exactly the questions that are going to be asked. And so they know the answers to make sure that they have the answers for.
Yeah, right? That's a lot of people. That's a lot of witnesses saying the same thing. He never came in the house.
That's the thing, is if you're going to believe that Karen Reed didn't do this, then you have to believe that not one, but several members of law enforcement are corrupt and acting together on this. And that's like a really hard thing. Like I'm the furthest thing from a conspiracy theorist. So my first instinct would be like, Occam's razor, he's got some injuries. She was drunk. Okay, she probably ran over him with her car, you know, maybe. But then when you start looking at it, like you look at the evidence and the unexplainable injuries on his arm, and we can get to that. And then just all these inconsistencies, the Google search, there's just so many things, and I am just scratching the surface with the weird oddities of this
I was going to say, so the crime scene would have been on the front lawn then, but it also snowed because so I'm sure that messed up any like tire tracks or drag marks or whatever, right, that potentially would have been there.
The snow did not help. It definitely complicated things, but there is still evidence. So when basically the reported evidence before the trial happened, like it's really when the trial happened is when it blew this thing wide open, where you're like, oh my God, this evidence is really strong. And I'm starting to really believe Turtle Boy. Yeah. Like I'm believing this big conspiracy.
I fucking believe Turtle Boy the second you said his name.
You said Turtle Boy, I said, this guy's
he's believable. He's legit. Anybody named Turtle Boy is legit.
No, that's my man right there.
Totally. And if you guys watch some of his videos, he's kind of like a polarizing, like somewhat controversial figure too.
Oh, really?
He is, but he is very good. He's like a dog with a bone. Yeah. So love him or hate him, he has done a bang up job with this case.
Well, and if you are somebody who engages in investigative journalism about these types of things, cases, true crime, whatever, like you start to see patterns, right? So I'm sure that's why, like immediately he was like, wait a minute, looking at this, like pattern wise, this doesn't fit.
Right.
Another case that I would consider, you know, easy, open and shut or whatever. Or I've seen another case like this. Like that is something you start to recognize. Yeah. Just even doing what we do, you start to recognize these patterns of things that are specific to what you believe and what you don't.
Totally. And it's like sometimes it's an inconvenient truth, but sometimes it's also like a really big thought. Like to believe that all these members of law enforcement are in on the same thing and their wives. Like it's too much of a big thought where I'm like, no, that didn't happen. Like she hit him with a car.
I say this all the time when we talk about whatever case, true crime case or whatever, but I'm always like, I don't understand how there can be that many people that are that evil that would all get together and be in the same room and all be jointly evil. Like I don't get that. That blows my mind.
Yeah. And that blows my mind too. And it is more rare. So I think statistically speaking, I would imagine that it's more than likely, like that's why two serial killers working together is very rare.
Yeah.
Because it's like very rare that you could find that two evil of people to get together and go, let's be that evil together. Like
Yeah.
it just is like, it's not a thing, but it is, but it's
Yeah.
very rare.
Yeah.
So I can understand why people at first, even me, I have a hard time going like, there's just no way. But
I remember
then
actually
the evidence.
that was a conversation we had. We talked about, it was like a family of serial killers. Remember, it was the mom, the dad, and the son and the daughter. It was like an old timey case.
Yeah,
and I was like, how do they all find each other?
Yeah.
throwback case, and then people were like, yeah, I think they weren't even actually all related.
Yeah, they weren't even related or something.
Oh,
they
that
were
makes
like
more
pretending to
sense.
be
a family.
And I was like, how do all these?
It was like a 17 or 1800s
Yeah.
case.
And I think that maybe one of them is typically like the mastermind and the more evil one, but then the
Yeah.
other one has those traits or maybe some level of like personality disorder or psychopathy or something. And when the two, the stars align, right? They get together and it brings
It's like
out
a dominant and a submissive
that's
kind of
it.
situation.
And maybe the
yeah.
submissive person never would have acted out on it, but they met this dominant and then they're
Yeah.
like, okay, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Who knows? That's above my pay grade.
And today in Psychology 101.
Yes. I always say that I'm knowledgeable in a lot of things, certified in nothing. So just, take it with a grain of salt.
You got it.
So Karen Reed is arrested and the evidence starts to trickle out. And basically we would find out that at the scene, officers during their initial sweep of the crime scene, they found a bunch of pieces of, found a bunch of pieces of broken glass, like not a bunch, but a few pieces of clear glass, right? But then what happens is they confiscate her car. So there's video of them taking her Lexus SUV. They tow it to the Sally Port. The Sally Port is like a law enforcement garage, for lack of a better term, where law enforcement can go and like, you can like see where this is going, maybe.
For me, I'm like, how do they even investigate this case when it's all law enforcement and they're all going to be helping each other? Like, how do we even?
Because it sounds like on the scene immediately said, oh, this woman did it. It doesn't even involve these law enforcement people because they never even saw him. He never went in the house.
They all basically, when law
I know, it just
enforcement
feels-
asked them, they're like, yeah, we just woke up to this, chaos outside of
Yeah.
the front yard. We saw the lights and everything. Like, we didn't know anything was happening. We just had a house party last night. We all got drunk. We went to bed. We woke up and she's screaming in the front yard to this
Yeah.
body in the yard.
Yeah.
So that's what they're all saying. So they found, some initial pieces of glass like around his body. But then they go get a warrant to take her vehicle and they tow it to the Sally Port. The Sally Port is like a garage where law enforcement can like look at the car, review it for evidence. And there's video footage of them looking at the car and doing things and whatever. Well, lo and behold, a few hours later, or maybe even the next day, I think it was a few hours later, they come back and do a second search of the crime scene. And now all of a sudden there are dozens of pieces of taillight from her car. I mean, like glaring red pieces, like a red piece here, a clear piece there, a this there, like, and that is where like my whole thing is at first, if you don't know that those were only found the second search, and that it was after they had access to her
the
car,
vehicle.
it sounds like, well, there's the law enforcement,
Yeah.
basically the where they're painting it is like, during our second search, we found all these pieces of
smoking
taillight.
gun.
It's a smoking gun.
Yeah.
Like, look at her taillight is damaged.
Yeah.
And it was at that point. So then there's, pictures, during trial of her taillight, and it was damaged. It looked like it was completely like broken and everything, right? So, and the taillight pieces are around John's body. Clearly she hit him, busted the taillight, and that's how they ended up there. And that's how those injuries, the Commonwealth, they call it the Commonwealth there, but it's the prosecution, right? They're saying that those taillight pieces cut his arm up and down. So that was their theory of the case. But the problem is that every time the Commonwealth comes with like what they say is their smoking guns. So the Commonwealth, their smoking guns there were taillight pieces from her car shattered all around the crime scene around his body. Okay, so that's one big thing. They also claim that they had a confession from Karen Reed because Jen McCabe and others said Karen Reed said she hit him. And in fact, she said it 3 times. So Jen McCabe said this. One of the other people at the after party said it. But Jen McCabe was really like the one who was kind of testifying, saying,
I fucking hate this bitch.
You're going to hate her. You're going to hate her so much. The world hates her at this point.
Okay.
Just, it's very satisfying.
You're not alone.
Very
I'm
satisfying.
angry. I'm so mad right now.
She testified and she says that, she said, I hit him. I hit him. I hit him. Karen Reed, because Karen Reed did what some defendants would not do, but Karen Reed has done several interviews after her trial, before her second trial. Like, she's talked a lot. She's very talkative. And a lot of people, it's controversial because, like, a lot of people say, like, if you're the defendant in a case, you need to keep your mouth shut because it could be used against you. But basically, she says in public interviews, she's like, I didn't say affirmatively that I hit him. I was frantic on the phone saying, could I have hit him? Did he get hit by a snowplow? Could I have clipped? Like, she's asking like a question.
Yeah.
And she's just, if you can imagine, if she's telling the truth, her mind is in like a tizzy. She's like, where's my boyfriend? It was snowing. I was drunk. What happened? Like, did I hit him? Like, so, but now we get to like trial and now all of a sudden it's a confession. And so those were their two smoking guns, but there was a lot working against them. So during her first trial, they presented that evidence, but the defense was masterful. And by the way, Aiden Carney, Turtle Boy, made this case go viral, so much so that like $1 million or more was raised for Karen Reed's defense fund.
Oh, wow.
And so
that makes a big
probably
difference.
saved her life. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but she was able to hire like a kick-ass defense team. And like literally, if you watch the trial, the Commonwealth was no match in the first trial. Like it was bad. But they put on the taillight evidence, but then the defense is like, but why didn't you see those during the first search? You're showing me these big, you can literally Google it. Like there's big pieces of like red taillight.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you have seen those during the first search?
Yeah.
Why'd you only see them on the second search? And by the way, this was after you had access to her vehicle. To go a step further, the defense put on a law enforcement officer, and I feel like he's like the only one who's not corrupt in that town, but maybe I'm wrong. I think his name was Officer Barros. He testified that he was the one who went and got her vehicle and put it on the tow truck, ordered it on the tow truck to drive to take it to the Sally Port. He observed her taillight, and he's like, I saw it. It was not broken. There was a crack. There was one piece missing, but it was mostly intact, were his words. Like, it was mostly intact. The defense was able to pull up footage, because then they're like, well, how did it get cracked? It was cracked, but not completely broken to where all bunch of pieces would be everywhere. The defense was able to pull up a video, probably ring footage, right, from John O'Keefe's house that shows his driveway. So when she's, around 6 o'clock in the morning, meeting up with Jen McCabe and Carrie Roberts to get in the car to go find John, she's backing out of his driveway, and you can see her tap his car with the back of her car, and it's right on that side where the taillight was cracked. So obviously to us, we're like, that's how she cracked her taillight.
Yeah.
It didn't shatter because you can't tell unless you zoom in.
It's actually pretty hard to shatter taillights.
It's hard. It is.
Yeah.
It's like it has to be like a certain
I was
speed
gonna
or
say,
whatever.
I don't know how hard a body would have to hit to crack a taillight, but it doesn't seem
to shatter it,
Yeah,
I
it doesn't
feel
seem
like
that would happen.
seems seemingly almost impossible.
Yeah. It just would have to be the right circumstances. But yeah, it seems off at the very least.
I mean, and not only that, but the way those things on his arm were,
That did not match up with the taillight for me.
That wouldn't even do that.
How do you get that many slices
No.
like on it? Just it doesn't. It's not adding up, right? And a lot of people had these same questions as you. They're like, those don't look like they're from a taillight. Oh, and
No.
also the defense's theory that it was a dog looks really plausible.
Yeah.
Right now, and we're gonna get to the dog.
Okay, I'm waiting
I know,
for
I
this
was gonna
dog.
say-
Girl, Chloe is a star.
Chloe, we need to hear from you, girl.
We're gonna hear from Chloe. We're gonna hear about Chloe. So yeah, the defense is able to show the jury footage. If you zoom in, the tire on John O'Keefe's car that she hit with her car, she tapped it, for lack of a better term. It jumps. The tire jumps. So she clearly like hit his car. So now the defense is like, oh, you want to say that her taillight was shattered? We've got Officer Barrows saying it wasn't shattered, and he's the one who got the car before you all had access to it for hours at the Sally Port. God knows what you guys did with it when it was there, right? So then they also have that footage of her backing into John's car. So now it's like, now the jury can be like, well, there's reasonable doubt right there. Like,
Totally.
Right? That's the definition of like reasonable doubt. And then also like the defense is like, why were the taillight pieces not found until after you had access to her car? Y'all would have seen these. Like, these are big pieces.
It's a bad chain of custody regardless.
Oh, do you want to talk about the chain of custody? Like, are we going to go, oh, girl, get ready for this. Law enforcement who was investigating this, they used red Solo cups to transport the evidence.
What?
Red, open red Solo cups. They did not use like a Faraday bag or any kind of like chain of custody that you're supposed to do in detective work, like so that
Girl,
like
I'll barely drink beer out of one of those.
I
That's
know,
what I'm
I was gonna
saying.
say.
I know they literally used red Solo cups, and there's footage at trial to transport blood evidence from near John's body. They put the blood evidence like a pile of snow with like a drop of blood, put it in there, and like drove it somewhere. So you're not going to tell me like that. So now all of a sudden, the defense's theory that this was all, police corruption, cover up, and a frame job of Karen Reed, it starts to make sense because you're like, they could have done anything with this evidence. It wasn't sealed. It wasn't like what. It's like a clown show. Like, where's Detective 101? You know what I mean? Like, so the whole thing seemed like kind of a joke. So that looked really bad for the Commonwealth as well. When you said chain of custody, I'm like, girl, I got to talk about this. So there was that. So then during trial, even the medical examiner who testified on behalf of the Commonwealth, she didn't even determine this was a homicide. She could not make that determination. And usually, not always, in a murder trial, the prosecutor has an ME who's going to go on and say, yes, this was a homicide.
Yeah.
But she was not able to determine that this was a homicide. So that looks bad for the Commonwealth. Additionally, what I found very glaring was not the injuries on John's body, but really like the lack thereof. So he had injuries on his face, kind of looked like he'd been in a fight. 2 black eyes, cuts, piece of glass in his nose. And then he has these weird injuries on his arm, right?
Yeah.
But he has no bruising, no fractures, no broken bones to the middle of his body. If she backed into his body, like there were numerous experts who testified, they can never say 100% of the time.
Yeah.
But nearly every single time there is a vehicle strike to a human body, at the very least, there's bruising to the midsection. But the more likely there are fractures and or broken bones. John had none of that. Like his body was pristine, except for his face and his arm. So then it starts to go like, how does it work that he got hit by a big SUV and there are no injuries to his body? Like, how is this? It's insane.
Yeah.
Well, now I want to know, like, how did he even die from?
So and this is a big part. I'm so glad you said that. He did have a 1 inch to 2 inch. I want to say it was like 1.5 inch laceration to the back of his head.
Okay.
That is how he died.
Okay.
Blunt force trauma. And I don't think that it's that he bled out. I think that it was the brain injury.
Okay.
Is ultimately
Brain
what
swelling
killed him.
or whatever. Yeah.
Something like that. Yes. I should know this, but details. I've moved on to the next case, but but yeah, so he had that. That's ultimately what killed him. So he had that on the back of his head, injuries to the face, injuries to the arm.
Which it's like, I guess he could have been like struck and then hit his head, but
then why? Like if nothing hit his body,
yeah,
like what is he doing? Leaning forward?
Exactly. Yeah, he would have had
like with his
something.
hands on his knees to get hit by this car. Like
that's exactly. It's like did he have his arm out so then the taillight like broke on his arm and like did all these, or did he have his head down and that's how it like? And then the theory, the Commonwealth. I think the Commonwealth said that basically like. She hit him with the car and he landed, hit the ground, and that's how his head cracked. But then why the injuries to the front of the face? How do you explain the arm? Let's talk about Chloe.
Okay. The dog.
Bring her in.
Right, let's bring Chloe. I really wish she would have testified.
Chloe,
where
come
are
on
you,
in.
babe? If you hear us
We have a
right now,
special
please tap in. We need to hear from you. Chloe is a German Shepherd, 6-year-old German Shepherd at the time. She had been in the Albert family, so she lived at 34 Fairview. She'd been their pet for 6 years. She was known to be somewhat aggressive. How did we find out that she was rehomed?
What?
After John O'Keefe died in the front yard.
And they'd had her for 6 years?
6 years. Chloe was rehomed shortly thereafter. And they'd had her for 6 years. And oh, by the way, he has mysterious injuries on his arm.
Yeah.
That look maybe perhaps like an animal bite. Oh, and by the way, the defense put on very credible medical experts that said those are dog bites.
Yeah.
Those are dog bites. So it's starting to become like, oh, okay, so the picture is being painted that he probably did go inside that house. Something happened in that house, and those people they want to wash their hands of it, and Karen was the scapegoat. Like that is what the defense is painting. And it's starting to make sense when you see all this evidence. And then the Google search came out where it's like Jen McCabe, and she Googled it actually twice. So Jen McCabe Googled Haas Long to die in cold at like 2:27 in the morning. literally when a man is dying in the cold,
Right.
at that very time. But she claims I had no knowledge of this. She Googled it again at like, let's call it 6 something in the morning.
Oh.
She said at trial that Karen Reed asked her to Google it. She didn't do the 227 one. She denies that to this day. I didn't do that one, but I did do the 6 o'clock one. But that's because Karen Reed said, Jen, like Google how long to die in cold. Okay, you mean to tell me that Karen Reed stumbles upon her boyfriend half dead in the yard, and her first thought is like, can you Google how long to die in cold?
Yeah.
Like it's not making sense. But she can't explain the 227, Google search. So what's interesting to me too is that not only was that Google search found in an extraction of her phone, it was later deleted.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't know
Shut
about
up.
you. And it's so true. Like that was deleted along with a bunch of other, I want to say like phone calls, texts. She deleted a bunch of shit on her phone during really key times that like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be on your phone. Why are you on your phone deleting things at this time? Like, this is very odd behavior. But the Commonwealth still wants us to believe, no, don't look over there. That Google search didn't happen. The 6 o'clock one happened, but that's just Karen Reed asking her to Google it. So I'm just like, okay, this is like a clown show, right? Like, I couldn't even
Literally.
believe they brought this case to trial.
No, I'm like shocked that, I mean, prosecutors hate to lose.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's like the one thing, like we see it all the time where they won't bring someone to trial that they know did it or whatever because they don't
Right.
want to lose the case.
Yes.
So what are we doing here? Like,
I think a lot of people want to know, like, what are you doing? And I think the collective thought now is like, you guys wasted so many resources and money, taxpayer money on this trial.
Yeah.
It never should have been brought. And of course they brought it. So there was 2 trials.
okay.
So we'll get to that
I was
too.
going to say, you keep saying there's 2 trials. And
Yes,
like, I got to know
I
what
know.
for.
There
This
are
is
2 trials.
insane.
It's insane.
I feel like all like this is so clear.
it seems so clear, right? It's just like, but it's just so hard, I think, for a lot of people to believe that all these people could have been in on it. Oh, also, so when law enforcement first came to the scene, right, there's a guy almost dead, later dies at the hospital in the front yard of 34 Fairview, where that they had an after party that
Yeah.
night, like that he may or may not have been at,
And
right?
I was going to say, and it's all contingent on whether or not he actually went in there or not.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Correct. So you would think that like the investigators, some of the first people they would interview would be the people who live at that house.
Yeah.
And the people who were at the after party, right? Like
Yeah.
that would be
Search
they
the
never did
house,
that.
talk to them.
They never went inside that house.
What?
Never went inside the house. So
Where the party was supposed to have happened?
yes, it did happen. Like
I mean, yeah.
it 100% did happen. Yes.
I mean, yeah, and his body was literally
In
found in the yard.
the yard. Like
Wouldn't
on
that be the
property.
first thing you do?
Absolutely. But they did not. So you start to see, okay, Turtle Boy is making some sense.
Yeah,
'Cause
Turtle
he's sa-
Boy is
Turtle
the
Boy is
only
our
smart
boy.
one here.
He's our boy. Like he truly is like starting to make some sense. And it's like lead investigators, unless they were maybe doing these people a solid, so you start
Yeah.
to get like, if you want to believe that Karen Reed is innocent, well, then it's like members of law enforcement were basically like, hey, Brian Albert, like, we're going to do you a solid. Don't worry. We're not going to go in that house. We know nothing pesky happened there. Like we know, he didn't even go in the house. You said, we believe you. It's fine. We won't go in.
Yeah.
So how do they explain not investigating? So that's the biggest shit show of this whole thing. And it's like very, very, very disappointing. It reminds me of like the JonBenet Ramsey case where it's like, it was such a bad investigation, such a botched investigation or lack thereof that we may never know the truth.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't properly investigated and you lose critical evidence, Like they never went inside. But collectively, everybody in that house is like, well, he didn't come in, so there's no reason to come in here.
I mean, even if there wasn't all this other evidence that points towards this grand scheme, it's like just the pure incompetence of it would feel any trial useless because they didn't
Right.
investigate any other options.
They didn't.
Just blinders on. And we do see this, unfortunately, in true
Adnan
crime all the
Syed.
time. Yeah, where like the second they get their blinders on, they don't look into anything else. And it's a horrible way to do policing. But like just incompetence alone, leave out all the other conspiratorial stuff. It's like, yeah, you could never prove to me that she did this just because they didn't try very
That's
hard.
exactly the point. Exactly. And it's like, if anybody's pissed off about this, don't be pissed off at Karen and this and that. Be pissed off at law enforcement.
Even if
Like,
you
who
think
didn't
she
do
did
their
it.
job. Yes.
I was going to say, even if you firmly believe that she did this,
Yes.
you should be pissed off they didn't investigate it in a way that made it so that she
so
could
we can confirm,
so that she could get justice or whatever,
that's
right?
it.
Yeah.
Like true
Yeah.
justice, whatever that truth is.
Yeah.
Like we need true justice. We want it to be authentic
Mm-hmm.
and true and real. And the only way we can get to real answers is if like you investigate this, but you did not investigate this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another thing that's odd, and this came out at trial too, is that Jen McCabe was in the car with Karen Reed when they found his body at 34 Fairview. Karen Reed jumps out, freaks out. Jen McCabe's sister lives in the house where a dead guy is laying in the front yard. Mm-hmm. What do you think what would you do if that was your sister's house and you're like, oh my God, there's a dead body in the front yard?
Go into the house immediately.
Bang on the door.
Wake her up
Yeah,
and go,
cause
there's
a
a dead
scene.
body?
Yeah.
She did not go inside. She never went inside. And she acted like it was no big deal. And that's another weird, and you know what else is weird? Is that not only did Jen McCabe never go inside that house to be like, sister, you need to wake up.
Yeah.
There's a person in your front yard. John O'Keefe is in your front
you
yard,
know.
who you know,
Yeah.
who's supposedly your friend. Brian Albert, high-ranking, law enforcement officer, lives at 34 Fairview. Karen's screaming bloody murder outside your house at 6 o'clock in the morning, right there in your front yard.
Yeah.
Ambulance pulls up, lights, sirens. Law enforcement pulls up, lights, sirens. An entire investigation is going on. Do you think the guy ever woke up and walked outside to see what was going on in his front yard?
So the cops didn't even knock on their door to be like, hey, there's a dead body in your lawn?
Never.
Oh,
And
Never.
they didn't come out like, oh
And
my
Brian
gosh.
Albert never came out, and Jen McCabe never went in.
Okay.
this is literally
Yes.
the most insane. Like, this feels like a fake.
It
fake
feels like
story.
an
It does.
HBO,
Yeah.
like an
this is
HBO
straight out of a nightmare movie.
miniseries. Oh my gosh.
So it's like, so then you start to go, okay, I can understand maybe like one of those things being true, but
Yeah.
you're literally trained as a law enforcement officer to like know what's going on. Like, you know what I mean? Go out. Maybe he could offer help.
Girl,
like
if I
he-
even hear the cops in my alleyway,
I am
I'm
so
out there on
nosy.
my balcony, like, what's going on?
Oh, I'm like binoculars, like
Yeah.
looking at like what happened here. He never came out of his house. Yet a neighbor said down the street that he came out of his house because he saw all the commotion.
Yeah.
But why didn't so Brian Albert said at trial, well, we were sleeping and me and my wife were like having sex and like I don't know. I didn't hear anything. And it's like, bro, and wouldn't Chloe have barked?
Yeah.
1000%.
Wouldn't Chloe have barked too?
Wouldn't
Like
the
it
dog
just-
be going crazy if there's all this
And wake
commotion
you
going
up?
on?
Yeah.
Especially a German Shepherd. Come on,
Total.
man.
I have a German Shepherd. Like
Yeah.
they are the biggest alerters. It's
Yeah.
both like it makes you feel very safe. It's like very annoying too. 'Cause
Oh,
he hears
absolutely.
every little thing. Like he's loudest bark ever. But so it's just like you're kind of like, okay, you want me to believe like all this and that you guys didn't know, like you, the McAlberts, you want me to believe your story, but like all these weird things.
But what else is kind of confusing is like, you would think if you're trying to cover your tracks, right, you would come out and be like, what, like, play it
100%.
up, you know?
Yes.
Well, to me, it's just like proof that they knew they didn't even have to do that.
Right.
It
Yeah.
was going to
Yes.
be that easy.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
If you know that you've made a few phone calls and you're like, listen.
Oh, yeah. They
little
probably already
something-
had it all taken care of by then.
Or maybe
Abs-
someone was like, hey, stay inside. Like, don't even come out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, exactly. Like they're, you imagine that like, 12:30-ish, 12:45 in the morning is the time that whatever happened
Yeah.
to John O'Keefe, right? 6:30 in the morning is when everybody discovers, his body.
6 hours.
That's a long time to go, what do we do here? Like what, like
Who can we
how
call?
who can we call? Who can
And she's deleting calls and deleting texts.
That's it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like so much is going on. And there's even more we haven't talked about. I could talk about this. We'll stay here for 3 hours if I tell you everything. Like it's wild. Like you absolutely, I encourage you to at least watch like the documentary.
Yeah.
That we've like walked through because it's wild.
no, this is
A
insane.
lot of weird shit happened in those hours.
Well,
that
we've
should
had
not be happening.
so many people. So we don't ever like really cover ongoing cases really, but I know this case is closed now or as closed as it will probably ever be. But we've had so many people ask like, you guys have to talk about this. You have to talk. I'm like, there's too much I don't know. So when you were like, we
Yeah.
talk about the Karen Reed case, I'm like, oh my God, we have the expert.
Yes.
We're bringing her in. Clock in, Jamie.
we don't have the patience.
Well, we've got
It's a lot.
We've got an investigative journalist
Yeah.
over here. on
Girl,
our
I
hands.
got you. Although I'm in perimenopause, so my memory is not so good. So like there's details where I'm like, I should know this. But also, like you guys, I cover several cases at one time.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
like I can only hold like so much information and the rest falls out. But like the basics are
Yeah,
here.
well, I mean that everything you just said to me is like disqualifying for it to be like anything real, any real
Right.
trial. Like,
It's
Yeah.
very like compelling evidence.
Yes.
For the defense.
Yes.
You know, and even Michael Proctor, I mentioned him earlier. He's the lead investigator. It came out at trial that right when Karen Reed was suspected of this, they arrested her and everything, like from the jump, he was texting other members of law enforcement, his boss, and also his friends, his sister, really nasty things about Karen Reed.
so this is the one thing that I know about this.
Yes.
Apparently, he also sent a text to like other detectives or whatever, saying like, "I hope I can find nudes of
Yes.
her like on his phone or whatever."
Yes.
On
And-
his dead friend's phone. I hope I can find nudes of his girlfriend who we're accusing of murdering him.
Whoa.
Yes, that happened.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michael Proctor did this?
The lead investigator, investigating Officer John O'Keefe's death, going through the phone, hoping that he can find nudes of Karen Reed, the defendant.
So we got to kill all these people.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Okay,
They're
all right.
trash.
As long as we're aware of that. I'm
They're
like,
all absolute trash.
what?
He was
the
like
fuck?
he was like sending texts. This is like the one thing that I saw because I saw like screenshots of the text. He was like sending texts like his sister or whatever and being like, "She's such a fucking cunt. This is gonna be so easy to get her
Slam
convicted."
dunk. Yeah, she's this. She's a psycho.
slut.
She's a cunt. He talked about her balloon knot, referring to her butthole. He called it a balloon
the
knot.
way that I had
It's
no
gross.
idea what that was,
literally
and I
didn't
wish
know
I
either.
didn't know.
I learned this in the Karen Reed trial. Like we all learned
Yeah,
what
we
it
shouldn't be
was.
learning porn terms in a trial about the accused. Like that's so. It's just so insane. That was the one like thing that I heard about. Besides, like I knew there was a dog involved. I just didn't know how.
Yeah.
But I heard about these text messages because I was like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
we need to subpoena every cop's phone, every
Yeah.
single trial, all the time."
Are
always,
these
please."
these people are fired?
Michael Proctor got fired.
Okay,
But he's trying to
did.
get his job back right now.
Yes.
Because that was how I saw
this
these.
is
Yes.
really.
It's and then
Oh,
then
okay.
not only does it just show that Michael Proctor is just trash. He's trash, right? And he had to testify to all this. It was like the most awkward, but it was the most satisfying.
is there a video
and
of
they
this?
made
I will
and
be
they
watching
made
this.
him
Absolutely.
read his own text messages.
Yes.
Word for
Good.
word.
I
It was
love when they do
amazing.
that.
It was amazing. But not only does it tell us that he's trash, but more importantly, it goes to the defense's theory that like you hated Karen Reed.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you help them cover this thing up and frame
Did
her?
he
Like,
know about her or of her before this? Just because he knew?
I actually
O'Keefe?
don't know the answer
Okay.
to that. Maybe he did. Maybe he
Maybe
did.
he just hates women.
I think he's just that guy. He's
Yeah.
a very ugly. He looks like an eraser. Mr. Potato Head. Like literally, you will not be able to get out of your head if you Google him now
I'm
and
bringing
tell
it
me
up.
I am wrong
He
that he
looks
looks like,
like an
Mr. Potato
eraser.
Head.
What's his first name?
Michael Proctor.
Proctor.
Proctor. Tell me he doesn't look like Mr. Potato Head.
Oh no!
Thank you.
I need to see.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Oh,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a thumb, just like
Looks
a
like a thumb.
If a thumb was a person.
He looks like a thumb.
wow, yeah.
And that guy is talking
And she's
shit.
super pretty.
And that's the thing.
oh
is
yeah, I've seen Karen Reed. She's really pretty.
She's
looks
and
like
this
an
is
actress.
I think what she has going against her. Like to me it fires me up. I love a successful, like powerful,
Yeah.
like, outspoken
But
baddie
people-
woman.
yeah.
But people do not.
Yeah.
Especially like some insecure men.
I also, sorry, I have a question
Yeah,
that I was
please.
thinking of. Was there any sort of motive for these people to harm?
Oh yeah, his friends.
That's what we need to talk about.
Okay.
So there had been that's actually huge. Brian Higgins, who also looks like a thumb. Brian No Neck Higgins. We got to Google him in a minute.
Collecting
too.
a lot of thumbs
Yeah, but
here.
a lot of thumbs. These guys are not lookers.
You know, like when someone's really bad at doing something, and you're like, "Sorry, I'm all thumbs."
yes,
Like, these
that's
people.
him. That's
Yeah.
him. It's
Yeah.
literally like what he looks like. Brian No Neck Higgins. Like literally, it's crazy. But him and Karen Reed had been texting flirty text messages before John O'Keefe died. Brian Higgins and Karen Reed.
And Higgins is friends with O'Keefe.
And was at the he was friendly with O'Keefe, but really tight with the McAlberts.
And they were all okay. So they all knew each other. They're kind of flirting, probably behind John's back.
Yes,
I'm guessing.
like obviously John probably doesn't know about this.
Okay, so Karen wasn't necessarily the best
Hands aren't clean.
girlfriend.
Hands are not
yeah.
clean. She definitely, it came out at trial that like she also was like flirting with Higgins. I think she even kissed him once, which is disgusting to me. But also there were like not rumors, but Karen Reed also had suspected that John O'Keefe was, had cheated on her and they got into a big fight.
So they were just a little toxic.
They were a little toxic and a little typical. Like it just, we all know that couple.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
It wasn't to the level of like there was no like reported abuse, but it was hot and cold at times, right? And so, she was flirting with Brian Higgins. Just there were insecurities, possibly infidelity, like in their relationship. It just was what it was. That's the truth. So now you have these flirty text messages, a kiss exchange between them. This all comes out at trial. And now John O'Keefe and Brian Higgins are at the same party, if you believe Karen Reed.
Okay.
So what...
With all his besties.
That's it. With all his backup, with all his besties. So you're starting to get a picture of like, okay, could it have gone down like this? Could they have pulled up? John gets out of the car, check the temperature almost immediately upon entering the party.
And they're all drunk.
Everybody's drunk. Liquid courage. Fight ensues. John gets beat up, rendered unconscious. Maybe he fell backward on the concrete floor in the basement, split his head open, and now they're all like, "Fuck, what do we do?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's blood in that house.
Absolutely. And how did the McAlberts? How did they remodel their basement after this happened?
Oh my God!
And I'm telling you,
my hair out of my head.
This is not like a fiction novel. Like it's not. It's a real.
I'm about to run nude into the street because I'm going so insane. This is bonkers.
It's wild. It's wild.
Like I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was this bad. You know what I mean?
Is really
and it's even
bad.
worse than that. Like you will not believe.
Yeah, you're like there's
just
not enough time in the world to even go through all the details.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh my Lanta.
Exactly. So could it have been like, liquid courage, get in a fight? And I'm not saying that the McAlberts planned to harm him and kill him. But what if the fight got so bad, he hits his head on the corner of a table, whatever. That's what killed him was this. He looks as if he's been in a fight. He's got 2 black eyes, cuts on his face.
No, he was beat up.
That's where I'm at. I mean,
and
fast forward.
Imagine the dog is get riled up because there's a fight. So it jumps in. That's what dogs do.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, like the dog's owners are in the fight. The dog is trying to protect the owners.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like I mean,
runs
like
up,
even
rips his arm,
just dancing around or whatever. Sydney's like, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" Trying to jump in. Yeah.
Yes, and meanwhile, Karen's outside, knowing nothing of this, thinking that he ghosted her. Now she's pissed off.
Yeah,
drives home to his thinking
she's in there taking shots with his friends. He doesn't want me in there.
That's exactly what's probably going through her mind.
That's what I would think.
And it's like they probably didn't plan this, right? No. And maybe they thought it was gonna. I've been in a couple fights in my life. You never think like I'm going to kill someone or they're going to kill me. You just think it's like, oh, we're going to fight and like it's over, whatever. Nobody thinks like somebody's going to die.
Yeah.
But accidents do happen, and maybe that's what happened. And then they're like, now we've got a problem on our hands. We've got a guy bleeding out on the basement floor.
Yeah.
Allegedly. Like maybe that's what happened. What do? Oh shit. Karen leaves. They've got several hours. Maybe they clean it up. Maybe they drag him out, leave him in the front yard, and they all get together. They make a few phone calls, and they're like, this never happened. He never came in this house.
Yeah.
And rehome the dog, remodel the basement, confiscate her car. Oh, now all of a sudden there's all these taillight pieces, even though this officer said, I saw her car before it got to the Sally Port, and it was not shattered. So you start to see, and then you've got the lead detective calling her a CUNT and this and that. He already hates her. Yeah. So case closed.
Yeah. And they don't like that she maybe was flirting with other guys, and she's just a successful bad bitch, like
I mean, I wouldn't doubt that Mike Proctor was trying to get at her and she turned him down.
Oh, he's the kind of guy who got turned down by every girl in school. Let's just be so for
That's
real.
That's what gives you that kind of energy towards a woman who 100%. You don't know.
Yes, because you have been rejected.
That's why he's calling her
entire life
a cunt, a slut, all these things, because she rejected him.
That's exactly. Like that's the picture. You can totally picture that. So she goes on trial. Well, basically the jury, it's a mistrial. So the first jury, the evidence apparently was not evidencing enough for them. It was a mistrial.
All of
deadlocks?
That evidence?
So here's the weird, you guys are not going to believe me. This is another weird fact, you guys.
I believe everything so far.
Honestly, you could tell me that the dog did testify and it spoke in English.
And at this point, it's like,
it wouldn't
this
even
makes
be that
sense.
shocking.
Yeah, for this trial, that would make sense because it's so bonkers. So We all thought it was a mistrial, right? Hung jury. They can't get to, as you know, when there's like second degree murder charges, it has to all be unanimous, but it was not. Mistrial. Very disappointed, like, but very quickly after the first trial, several jurors came out and contacted various people and said, I am willing to sign an affidavit. We actually did come to a verdict on the second degree murder charges. We all agreed she was not guilty. We all were ready to vote that way. But in Canton specifically, the jury form is very confusing. Like it just is. And this has been an issue
Is this why people were talking about the judge?
Yes, Judge Bev.
Okay,
Anti-Bev.
This was another thing where I'm like, I don't really know anything about it, but it's been in my circle.
Yes.
But I was like, because people were saying that she was refusing to give like jury instruction or something that like would make things more clear to what they were allowed to do and not allowed to do or whatever.
Yes, there was some controversy over that a lot of people blame. We call her Auntie Bev, but it's Judge Bev Canoni.
Real cast of characters.
Yeah, Auntie Bev. You got Brian No Neck Higgins. You got the McAlberts. You got
Jen McBitch.
Yeah, Jen McBitcher, McBitcherson. It is a real cast of characters. But basically, for just to dumb it down a little or just simplify it, the jurors were confused. And at the end, when Judge Bev declared a mistrial, she didn't pull the jury or have the jury pulled. So I've been a juror on a first degree murder trial. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that this was a thing. But when we handed in our verdict, it was read aloud. One of the attorneys, I think it was the defense attorney, asked the judge, can you pull the jury? It's basically just making sure that the jury did actually vote or reach this verdict that they're putting on paper. So the judge literally looked at us one by one. Juror number 6, did you reach this verdict? Yes, I did. And they just basically asked them, and we have to say in the affirmative, just double checking. Yeah. That didn't happen. Had that have happened, theoretically, the jury would have been like, "Yeah, no, we all said she was not guilty on second degree murder." But we were confused on the jury slip. So Karen Reed's defense team
sounds like something that would happen to me.
Amanda accidentally Amanda accidentally sentenced someone to death because she didn't read the instructions.
And then she's over there crying about it. She's like,
I read it. What do you mean?
Sorry. Oopsie.
My bad.
Yeah, my bad.
So I get it, guys.
Totally. Honestly, it's like these things happen. These are lay people that are picked for the jury for the most part, right? Like it's confusing. So, and several of them did sign an affidavit and said, we all agreed she was not guilty, but Karen Reed's team took it all the way to the Supreme Court and they lost. Okay. So basically it's a mistrial. In my mind, she was found not guilty the first time, but we have to go with what the Supreme Court says. That verdict held up, which was a mistrial. It was a lack of a verdict. So the Commonwealth says, well, we're going to try her again. We're not done. And it's like, the first trial, the evidence was so bad, which is why it was a mistrial. Like, you're going to try again. And so this time around, they brought in a special prosecutor. They didn't even use somebody from their own district attorney office. They brought in a career defense attorney, a guy named Hank Brennan, as a hired gun to make sure they were going to get the job done. Make sure they were going to fry this.
They knew they didn't have the gusto to go against her really good defense attorney, 100%. So they brought in a defense attorney.
That's exactly what they thought they were doing, right? Okay. And they went at her a second time, and this is like kind of a rare, I guess it does happen, but it's like kind of a rare thing to bring in a hired gun, like a special prosecutor who actually is a defense attorney.
It's kind of like a loss for the department, honestly, right?
Oh, it is.
This is such a high profile case. The reason they love to keep retrying these is because, like I said, prosecutors like to win.
Yes.
Their records are very important, and DAs are elected officials.
Yes.
So it's like, that is an important thing. You want to be able to hang your hat on that. Why would you give away this political win?
Right.
Ever.
Unless you guys just
really thought you couldn't do it.
That's it. And they didn't. They did not. And so Adam Lally, the first, prosecutor who tried it, he sucked, by the way. Like, he was horrible. They were like, take a seat. You'll be at the trial, but you're not going to say shit for the most part.
Yeah.
Hank Brennan has got this. Shut your mouth. We're going to pay him $500,000, which, by the way, that's taxpayer money.
Yep.
That's the price of like 5 DAs, right? But they're going to, it sends the message that they wanted to fry this woman. Mm-hmm. Like, at any cost, they wanted to fry her.
Yeah.
Well, long story short, it didn't go well. She's acquitted on all charges except OUI. DUI.
Okay.
So they got her for drunk driving, and it's like, cool.
Yeah.
That's a win.
She was absolutely doing that.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, right. So
you probably all were that night, let's be honest.
Yeah, so she got no prison time. She got I don't know, a fine.
Community service or whatever.
Something like that. So that is kind of, that's the case. And now, I would say that, I've been team Karen Reed for many, since almost the beginning when I started looking at the evidence. I would say the tides have certainly shifted, and like by and large, almost everybody is like on Karen Reed's side, but still to this day, including John O'Keefe's family. That's the crazy part. John O'Keefe's family has always been staunchly on the side of the Commonwealth.
No.
So much so that they filed a civil lawsuit, a wrongful death lawsuit against her, which she is still going to have to fight.
Look at all this evidence.
It's wild.
Like, what?
It's glaring that she did not do it. Like, not only is she not guilty, she's factually innocent.
Yeah.
It's wild. So I think it was a huge waste of taxpayer money.
Absolutely.
And I think even the DA's office is corrupt at this point. Like, to bring this case and to act in the way that they did, and if you know all the details, you know that this... And it has not worked out well for them. Like now, all the eyes are on every single person that was at that house. The district attorney, Michael Morrissey, Proctor got fired. It's just a trickle down effect. And so the shitty thing is, well, what freaking happened to John O'Keefe?
Yeah.
Who did this? But it's like the chances of law enforcement saying, you know what, we're so sorry, we got it wrong. We're so sorry that we went so hard after Karen Reed. We are now going to switch our focus, and we're going to actually investigate this thing and look, at
we're going to go into their data and go into the phone records and actually try to, parse out what happened that night.
That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
So a lot of people, and another thing we didn't touch on, which briefly I will touch on, the feds actually got involved in this thing.
Oh, they did.
The feds actually, which the jury in the first trial, and I think the second trial too, was not allowed to know that the feds in the background were investigating the investigators and the investigation.
Yes. Okay.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah. So it was just, there's all these things going on. That's why I say like this case needs to be studied. Like it is just so many aspects of it are just so wild. But the only hope that we can get for like true justice is if the feds somehow, some way are able to find something, dig up, and really take this thing and champion it and arrest, make an arrest of somebody who actually did do this thing.
And we figured out that there was actually a ring camera at the house.
But they didn't have the footage.
This is the weird thing. I get a little fuzzy on the ring footage, but it's wild the lack of ring footage that was entered into evidence. You would think that there would be like neighbors with ring footage that like, where's the ring footage from the person across the street that may have seen her back her car into him? A lot of ring footage was mysteriously missing.
Because that would have solved every issue.
100%. But if you are a smart member of law enforcement and this happened at your house and you had several hours to maybe cover it up, maybe you made a phone call to your buddy, your neighbor, maybe like who knows the power that they have. But somebody had to have had ring footage.
100%.
But there was no ring footage. So it's another aspect that's like, where's the ring footage that could have solved this thing? But that's probably one of the first things that they would want to get rid of if they, the McAlberts, are guilty of this.
I just honestly, off the bat, the Jen McCabe Google search for me is hello. Like obviously something happened that they're involved in. And then also them, nobody checking inside the house. Like, there's blood somewhere in that house.
Like, and at least if you don't think anything happened in the house, just ask the people in the house, did you see anything?
It's on your property. There's a body on your property.
Yeah, you were in this house having a party when this allegedly happened, like 12:30, 12:45 in the morning.
If somebody was murdered in my condo building,
yes,
there would be a knock on my door,
100%.
even if it was
Did you hear anything?
Even if it was in a different unit or by the pool area or by the
even
grill
if it was
or whatever.
out front of your condo building.
Yeah.
Yes.
They would come in and knock on every door.
Yes.
Right? Like that's what I was
Do you hear anything?
100%.
Do you have a camera? Do you have this? Like, that's...
Yes. And what else is weird too is that both sides, the Commonwealth and the defense, both agree that John O'Keefe was rendered unconscious sometime, let's call it 12:45, 12:40 in the morning, right? Well, people were leaving 34 Fairview from the after
I
party
didn't even think about that.
At that time.
And he was on the front lawn.
On the front lawn. If you believe them, like that's where he was found. So he was on the front lawn. But they're saying they didn't see anything. They walked out. They did not see a body in the snow. And he's like 6'2", something like that, 200-pound man. They did not see. And it was a dusting of snow, by the way. He wouldn't have been like
completely
buried
covered or whatever.
Another really important. So it's like they're saying, so it's weird. Like they're saying that he never came in the house. So he must have been in the front yard the whole time and we just didn't know it. Oh, but the people that left our house also didn't see him out there. Like, that's weird.
And also, you would think if they did invite him over to this party, one person would have texted him and been like, hey, man, are you guys coming or what?
Yes. And they did. Jen McCabe.
Oh.
Jen McCabe was texting him, are you coming? Are you here? Like, she even reported that she was looking out the window to see, like, is he here yet?
So you're looking out the window, but you don't see the body.
You
on
don't
your
see
front.
a body.
Okay.
She didn't see a body. Also, another important piece is Lucky Lochran. He is the snowplow driver.
Great
Love
name.
this
I was
guy.
gonna say,
You
these
guys will
names
love
are
this
fake.
guy.
Great
No,
name on
it's
this guy.
literally like this is a movie, which it's, that's another part of this. Remind me to tell you that there is a movie deal.
Oh.
Okay.
Lucky Lochran, he was the snowplow driver that night around, call it 2:30 in the morning, when both sides would agree that John's body is laying in the snow
Yeah.
in the front yard, right? Lucky Lochran, it's a snowplow. For safety, when you're at night, the thing has lights at every angle. And you are trained to, like, let me not hit a dog. Let me not hit a human being. Let me not hit a car. He did not see a body in the snow at like 2:30 in the
Yeah, he
morning.
would have seen that.
He would have seen that.
Yeah.
So it's like John's body was probably still inside 34 Fairview.
Yeah.
Right? You know, maybe they're cleaning up the mess. Maybe they're deciding what to do at that point. But his body was not in that front yard at 2:30.
Yeah, because she Googled what the Google is at 250?
227.
227.
And Lucky Lochran didn't see his body
At
in the yard at
2:30.
that time. So it's like you can totally imagine like a frantic scenario of, if we put him out in the snow, how long is it going to take for him to die?
Yeah.
Let me check that out. Okay, let's put him in the snow and then he'll die. I think like
They
did
still
it.
wheezing.
They needed to finish him off.
But nobody
Yes.
wants to
But
be a
nobody-
murderer
Thank
because it was
you.
an accident.
And how dark is that?
Okay.
What?
I just have I'm just getting a weird vibe from Jen McCabe. And if you're telling me she's wanting him there so bad, like, I don't know, it makes me feel like something could have been pre-planned. I don't know.
No, I think she was texting him that after he had already been in the house to cover their butt. Hey, where are you? You never showed up,
that's
buddy.
what was happening?
That's what it
Okay.
seemed like
It
to
could
me.
be. It
In
could
my
be.
opinion.
I know. I just have
allegedly.
I just have a fucking. I don't like this bitch.
I know she is awful. This whole and okay, this is the crazy part too. Oh my god. I ran happenstance. I have a friend who's in the podcasting space, who has somebody they know very well, and I've met with this person. I'm trying to be so vague because they promised I wouldn't say whatever. He grew up. This person grew up in Canton, knows all the players, and was able to confirm that these people are absolute trash and have been for decades. And it's very well known in the community that the McAlberts are trash and they've been trash and
That's
they will
why the
always be
townspeople
trash.
are so riled up.
Thank you. That's it. So it's like you just start to see like this is all making sense, but now their shit's caught up with them. How many other murders and crimes have they fudged up,
I would
covered
say
up? Like
every single thing their fingers have ever even touched, let alone
There's a
been
fallout.
involved in, should be reinvestigated.
And there are
by the feds.
cases that are being that are literally like now that Michael Proctor's been fired, every case, you know that every defense attorney out there is like, I want all that evidence thrown out because he's been shown to be a dirty cop
and a liar.
and
Yeah,
it might help some other defendants' cases that he worked on. So that's a thing.
Yeah.
And then I said, let's come back. Oh, the movie deal.
movie. Yeah,
So Karen Reed, and I feel like she's earned every penny, but she has secured a movie deal. Her with her kick-ass Hollywood, LA-based, which by the way, she hired an LA-based attorney to go to Canton. Alan Jackson, he's a badass. If anything ever happens, everybody, I'm putting it on record. I want Alan
Call Alan.
Jackson, to
get him on the horn.
get him on the horn. They together have secured a movie deal, and I don't know how much it is. I don't know if that amount has come out yet.
Honestly,
but
good for her.
Thank you. She's earned every penny of it.
Because like normally in these situations, maybe I would have been like, okay, but like, no, fuck all those fucking people.
Yes.
And she deserves this.
She deserves it. She had to sell her house. Like her whole life has been uprooted. She was facing like so many years in prison. Yeah. So John O'Keefe's family believes that, that she did it. They believe law enforcement.
That always
despite
bums
all
me
the
out so
evidence.
bad. And like I understand because they're probably a law enforcement family, right?
Yeah.
That's like a thing, and so they are probably refusing to believe that there could be any corruption because then they would have to admit that their own son, who is the victim, worked in a corrupt,
Correct.
environment, right?
Yeah.
But it's like there's so much evidence, and like, don't you at the core of you just want the truth?
Yes.
Like that, you know what I mean? And
Yes.
if you do believe in the justice system, which I would assume if you're this gung ho, then you would believe she was found not guilty. She must not be guilty.
Right. And if you looked at the evidence is just so strong. I mean, it's you can't ignore it. And so while I have so much empathy for their loss, like so much,
and he gets lost. That's the problem with these kind of things.
He gets lost, and that is not Karen Reed's fault, and that's not her attorney's fault. That is law enforcement did not investigate this thing.
Yes.
So if they're pissed off at anybody, it shouldn't be at Karen Reed and her defense team. It should be at law enforcement who you're on the side of, but they didn't investigate this thing.
Yeah.
They did not
dropped the
investigate
ball.
it. They dropped the ball on your son, John O'Keefe, who was a brother in law enforcement. He deserved the utmost respect in his investigation. He didn't get it. But so I'm torn with them because two things can be true at the same time.
Absolutely, yeah.
I have so much empathy for them, but I'm also angry
Yeah.
because I'm going, you're now impeding or wanting to impede on this woman's freedom.
Yeah.
You want to take her life away because it would make you feel better.
Yeah.
But the evidence strongly does not support
Yeah.
what you are saying.
That's what confuses me so much because I'm like, did they hear the same evidence?
They were there for
like
every day of the trial.
You see this a lot with victims or families where they kind of latch onto whatever the original idea is, right? And then they run with it because that's more comforting than thinking otherwise. Because like, of course, we can sit here as people who are not families of victims and go, what, wouldn't you just want the truth? Wouldn't that be the most important? And it's like, no, a lot of these people want closure. And that's what feels like closure. Someone being in jail or getting her to be guilty in the civil trial will at least feel like closure to them because they're just grasping at straws at this point.
Absolutely.
And it's like you said, like two things can be true at once. You can be like, guys, what the heck? And then also be like, I'm empathetic because I understand that you're in an ununderstandable situation that you should never have been put in. You lost a loved one so tragically and horribly. But also like, oh my God, it's still frustrating to watch it go down that way. You know?
It is. And also I have to believe that at this point, you know, not only do I think the McAlberts are dirty cops, I also believe that the DA's office, their hands are not clean in this. I also believe that Michael Proctor and some of the other investigators who, like, I think that all their hands are dirty. And if I believe that, then I also believe that they dug their talons into the O'Keefe family and told them a narrative that was not true. And probably spun it as like, we're supporting you, we've got your back,
absolutely.
we're gonna get this bad guy Karen Reed, you know. And so all this, and it's manipulation, it's lies, it's like they're in pain, they're traumatized by this whole event. So it's like, I have to give them some grace. I've never been in their shoes, but like they're grasping on to like, these are their heroes that are gonna get justice and put the bad guy in prison, but that's not what happened. And so it's probably very hard for them to go, okay, maybe this big bad defense attorney team is onto something. Yeah. I've always hated for this so long. Yeah. Maybe they are onto something here. So I understand psychologically, like that's got to be
I can't imagine. Yeah.
So I think that
logic goes out the window when really intense emotions are happening, you know,
for sure.
as we all know. Yeah.
One more thing.
Please.
I just thought of this.
Please.
You're not going to believe me. Like you're not going to get ready.
What else can there possibly be?
I was like, I have to tell. I can't end this thing without telling him this. Higgins, the one, you know, no neck Higgins. He was
Higgins
flirting with Karen Reed.
Yeah.
After this all went down, he was about to get a letter subpoenaing like his cell phone because everybody's phones at some point need to be like extracted, right?
Yeah.
He's a member of law enforcement. He knows how this works, right? So when you get that letter, you don't touch your phone. Like you don't do anything.
Yeah.
Literally the day before he was expected to receive this letter, what did he do? He drove to a military base, destroyed his SIM card and his phone, and got a new phone.
Okay.
And he's in law enforcement.
The fuck are you talking about?
And I don't know about you. I have upgraded my phone numerous times over the decades, right? I have never once destroyed the SIM card and the phone and ditched it on a military base away from my house. So
I still have my iPhone 4 in my desk.
Yeah, thank you.
I actually was looking for my hard drive the other day, and I literally found a stack of iPhones like this.
Totally, we all do.
From when I was in college, basically. Yeah.
Yes, like it's wild.
Oh,
it's wild.
Destroying the SIM card too, and on a military base.
Thank you. Why'd you go to, bro? Why'd you go to, and then
pack it up?
His answer at trial was, well, that's my right. Well, sir.
Yes,
you have a right to do a lot of things.
It's my right.
Suspicious.
It's my right to think you're a fucking freak.
Thank you.
Oh, my.
And you're the very guy who was exchanging flirty texts with, and then, and now the girl you were flirting with behind her boyfriend's back, now her boyfriend's dead at a party that you were at.
And it's just like, it's so sad that, and that there's just going to be no answers. And we talk about this all the time whenever we talk about true crime or missing people or, disappearances or whatever. It's like the not knowing is so hard. And like, I think, like I said, that's why the family clings so hard to like, well, it has to be this, because not knowing is so much harder than thinking like that she just got off with it or whatever. Like it's so, and just the idea that somebody did get away with it is also just like,
it's bothersome to everybody.
It's tummy ache material. You know what I mean? And it's
John
like this poor
O'Keefe
guy.
was such a good guy. So something else you guys don't know is that this is wild. Before he died, I don't know, it was like a few years earlier, his sister passed away unexpectedly. His sister was married to a man. They had 2 kids. I want to say it was like younger kids, but not toddlers, not quite teenagers maybe. So John O'Keefe's sister passes away unexpectedly. 6 months later, her husband dies unexpectedly. Kids they don't have parents. John O'Keefe took those kids in and like raised them as his own.
And then now they lose him too.
And now they lost him.
Oh my gosh, these poor kids.
It is
Amanda's gonna cry.
I know, no, I cry. This is the part where I get like choked up because it truly, truly is. Oh my God, no, I can't look at you.
So I'm just like, what the heck?
It is. It's
These poor
awful.
kids can't catch a break.
No, they can't catch a break. And Karen Reed was sort of kind of helping John with raise the kids. Like, actually, a common fight that came out in trial that John O'Keefe and Karen would fight over is that she was spoiling the kids because she would take the daughter out for manicures every week or every month, and she would spend money on her, and like almost like Karen Reed didn't have her own kids, so she saw this girl and that was how she related to her, and let's go get our nails done and do girl things. But John was like, no, you're like spoiling her, and the way that I want to parent them is not by spoiling them, you know, and so it's like Karen Reed's a human being. Like the Commonwealth would have you believe that she's an ice cold bitch.
Yeah.
But she has feelings. She is a very tough chick. Like, she is a very tough, outspoken, like fiery woman, very successful, all the things. But a lot of people don't like that, and it rubs them the wrong way, and they call her unlikable.
We love that. So
I love that too.
Yeah.
But she was, by all accounts, kind and tender to these children, and so they have suffered.
Oh, and they must be so confused too, because the family's probably in their ear telling them.
The family has roped them into the lawsuit, the civil lawsuit. So the daughter has been roped in. So she's named as one of the plaintiffs in the lawsuit against Karen Reed.
Oh. And then now, what do we always talk about with kids? It's like, when you look back and you're a kid, you can frame anything as, well, she was trying to manipulate me by taking me to manicure.
Yeah.
That's it.
She was trying, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, well, in hindsight, you can literally reframe anything, especially in a child's mind, because they are kids, so their understanding of what's going on is very malleable.
Yes.
And it's just like, because we were talking about this with, I don't know if you watched Deadly American Marriage.
No. Oh, yes, I did.
So we were talking about that because the kids testified one way and then testified a different way, and now they firmly believe one thing. And it's like, we're like, oh my God, it's just, I wish that part just didn't exist in this, because it's so heartbreaking to watch kids go through things like this. And also, it's just like, I want to believe you, baby, but also it's hard. When you're a kid, you're just your memories, your perception is so malleable.
It is, and I remember as a kid, there was. It's like I don't remember exactly at what age I started to think that, my parents aren't perfect.
Yeah,
and everything they say isn't always accurate. I have a brain of my own, and I can think for myself and go, oh no, I disagree with you on this, and this. But at a certain point, when you're young, even into my like teenage years, like my mom, whatever she said was like, oh yeah, she's right. Like she's right. She's so smart. Mom. She's so well. This and that. Now, fast forward to today, like we could not be further from political beliefs and all kinds of
absolutely the same.
You know, I can think on my own, but like I literally thought, like if my mom says it, it is true. Yeah, like that is what it is. So you can just imagine, like kids, they're so malleable and they're so vulnerable, and these kids, I would never fault them for being involved in this lawsuit. And
they could hate her till the day they die. And I'd be like, listen,
it's okay. You're kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just, they have suffered the most. And John O'Keefe's mother, who thinks Karen Reed's guilty and she hates the woman, but she's lost 2 children plus a son-in-law. Like it's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, there's just so much to the story. So,
wow, that was crazy.
Did I take you on a wild ride? Isn't it crazy?
Probably one of the most insane things I've ever heard. Yeah, actually.
It doesn't seem that it's true, but like it is so true.
Yeah.
And it's just all the details are just sound like they're from like a Hollywood movie, yet they're not.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like some tinfoil hat conspiracy person. Well, technically they could have done this, and then you like look at the evidence, and it's like, no, it looks like they actually really just did that.
Yes.
Like, what the heck?
Right.
Well, thank you so much, Jami. If you want to tell everybody where they can find you, I know you have a new show two new things, right? That you're kind of putting out.
I'm out there experimenting with new stuff.
She's always working on something.
Always working on something.
Let the kids know about it.
All right. So you can find me at Jami on, you can find me at Jami on Air on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. So that's JAMI on Air on all the things, all the platforms. My podcast is called Murderish. And on Murderish, not only will you get true crime stories every other Monday, you will also get my other series, which I drop in the Murderish feed, which is there's one called Say Yes to the Mess. That's a couple times a month on a Saturday, and that is me and my bestie talking about reality TV. You will also get Serial Streamers, which is a true crime virtual TV club for all of us who are out there watching like the true crime documentaries. We all like go and watch it together. I recap it on my YouTube and on Murderish, the podcast. Then we go into my social media comments and we yap about it. And Dirty Money Moves is my other true crime podcast, Dirty Money Moves, Women in White Collar Crime. That is basically a serialized podcast where I deep dive on
really good
female scam artists.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. Speaking of like doing actually like deep diving into a case and also like the psychology behind it was some of the most interesting stuff that I liked on Dirty Money Moves. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm super into the psychology of things.
Well, now we have our official true crime pundit here. So
yes, put me in, coach.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you go check out all of Jami's podcasts. We will be obviously tagging her in all of our social medias and all of that fun stuff, so it should be easy to find her. And thank you to Cloud 10 for having us in the studio today.
Yes,
we
absolutely loved it.
It's so cutesy, so vibey in here.
It's so cute. But thank you guys so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this conversation, and we can't wait to hear your thoughts all about it. But most importantly, make sure you keep that front door locked.
Make sure you keep your mind open.
And keep drinking the Kool-Aid.
I love that.